All right, we're officially recording. Happy Friday. Thank you, Errol, for being here.
Yeah.
And I know we've talked about getting together, talk a little bit about different practices we use. We've known each other in various different contexts of it. Our interest is very similar. I know you've been a personal and a business coach since 2003, correct?
Yeah.
And NLP is one of your interests amongst many different modalities. And I know when you've asked me, okay, what are one of the things that I want to get out of this? My answer is I would like to come back to this conversation and be able to utilize, deepen some of what is talked about. So I know we know, you and I know that we're recording, but I also I hope I forget that we're recording in just a few seconds because I want this to be a bit more playful. And I know our interest in transformation and the human potential movement. And um, yeah, maybe tell me where, before we jump in telling people what specifically we're going to talk about, where and when were you initially trained with NLP?
All right. So back in 2003,
Okay.
and maybe back up, like, why am I even, did I get into personal coaching? I was a
Right, right.
software developer for an engineer for like 14 years straight. And
Okay.
so writing code, also before that, engineering machinery. So I have an engineer's kind of mindset and a coder mindset. And then that business stopped for me. I drifted about for and had a lot of trauma and a lot of pain at the turn of the century after losing my career in that.
Okay.
And I stumbled on NLP. I'd been curious because of Tony Robbins talked about it. I know that
I
was
was
one of
gonna,
the,
that's the first thing that I thought of was Tony Robbins. So I know he
yeah,
is.
it's one of the core things that makes him different than almost anybody on the planet is this way of thinking. So neuro-linguistic programming, for a programmer, it makes total sense. The idea is that what we're doing has no mystery. It's programming. Now, it could be childhood, or it could just be the way I'm thinking, or it could be I just been thinking in a way, or I learned something incorrect. So I did 2 years. I did 1 year of 5 different courses with one of the masters in the business. And then I taught with him so I could really get it deep. Good.
Okay.
And it was wonderful because students would ask, this is a great process. Why does it work? Like they'd have a breakthrough, like, I mean, amazing in like 15 minutes, blow something out they'd had for their lifetime. They go, why did it work? So I would work with my teacher on that. Like, why though? So that's kind of my mindset is always like, you
So
know,
is there a quick way that you know how to answer that now? Why?
uh,
Because the techniques were really effective, or if you could reframe something, their entire perspective of life changes? What?
well, in this case, it would be there's a specific, like you want to talk about this idea of holding on to stuff, right? An energy
Right, right, right.
charge. There'd be a specific, like for a trauma, specific problem, and there's a trauma process. There's like 300 processes in NLP. And the student would ask, why does this particular thing we're doing work? So I'd go back with my teacher, like work out like what is it in the mind, the brain that had the shift happen. So we're constantly doing that in NLP. We call it modeling, is find the fastest way. So the
Is this
topic we want to talk about,
post the change, post the
this is,
transformation, or you mean like just
yeah,
in general?
for a student. Yeah.
Okay.
So a student would ask me, so I got in this place of like people asking me, why does it work? So I keep thinking of anything I do now, anything I've learned to do, anything I learn, I'm often thinking, but why does that work in addition to just how? Because when I know why, I might be able to do it faster, simpler. So I'm pretty good at explaining. Somebody learns a system, like we'll talk about later. Somebody learns a system to do something, and I'll break down like what's the nuance here? What needs a shift? And what kind of result will it create? Like an
Beautiful.
engineer.
So yeah, yeah, yeah. So let's actually do that thing that you're describing. So what we've decided as a first conversation, hopefully we'll have many of those because conversations I've had offline or online, off recording with you, I've repeatedly walked away being like, wow, um, it's rare to be at my age. And hopefully this doesn't sound arrogant because it's an experience I look forward to often to have more in my life. But it's rare to have a conversation and walk away being like, wow. I have never thought that way. Like I've never considered that thing. And I've been close or in the neighborhood of a particular thing that I'm trying to dissect. It's like, oh, I've never seen it from this angle. And I've had that experience with you a few times. So that's beautiful. So what we
Yes.
decided we're going to talk about is called lists. Now we'll define what the term means. Then let's talk a little bit where it came from, and then maybe how it's practiced or how it's used. So let maybe start with like most people, if I go, hey, you have a list, they're going to think of, no, I'm not going to the grocery store. Or like, you have a list, they're like, oh, to-do list. So when we say clearing a list, or I have a list on you, or we're talking about lists, let's first define what the term actually means.
Yeah, so it's a simplistic metaphor, of having a list and anybody can understand it. So I love it. Grocery store. So we'll make a list. Why would we make a list? So that we can
Purchase it, remember.
remember in this context, what do I do?
Mm.
So I remember to do something in the future, and this is like why. So I put down the list so I don't forget. So I make sure I remember and that I'm prepared in the future for action.
Right.
Okay. So when we say
Okay.
I have a list for the grocery store, you get, oh, your list to remember how to act around the grocery store, what to do. If I said I have a list on a person or about a person, I'm saying I have a list of things I have to remember about the person.
So is it always going to be assumed that it's a negative thing that
Great
I'm
question.
remembering about a person?
Well, someone we like, we have a list of reasons why we like them,
Right.
right? And that typically tends to be someone's talents, someone's skills, some of their values and so forth, right? We also have a list of reasons we may not like someone. Now, when the list of reasons we like someone is really large and the list of reasons we don't like them is zero, you can predict the outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to want to
Now,
spend more time with them. You might like
yeah,
them and demonstrate it.
exactly.
Right.
And if we have trouble with a person, we could guess that the list of reasons they want to remember that they don't like this person. That list gets longer than the other. They're probably not going to spend much time together.
Interesting. I have not considered this. I mean, we've talked about this before. So that's actually a really interesting point. One, the you can watch somebody and go, oh, you're wanting to spend more time with them. You enjoy talking about them. You refer to them. You light up when you talk about them. So I have a list about all the things that I find intriguing, exciting about that person. Versus I
Yeah.
have a list against somebody, all the ways that they walk, talk, smell, behave toward me that I don't like. And then the demonstration of that would be, I want less of you. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
beautiful.
what NLP helps me with there is we're constantly thinking of there. We believe there's a structure to how do I remember things? How do I make decisions? How do I know who I like and I don't like? So this metaphor is great because
Okay.
in my brain, I probably have like a literal list
Yeah.
that I could kind of pull out and write down. So when you ask someone, why don't you like them? I might list out
Right. When
the
I'm in
reason.
this environment, this is what they do. When I drive with them, this is when I talk to them, they talk over me and I don't like it. When, like there's a literally a list.
Yeah. So
Okay,
where
cool.
we might have heard that before in in a seminar that
Right.
we've done before, it was just that teacher was using simple language anybody could connect with. Now that you get like, oh yeah, that's like, that makes sense. It's a better way than saying, why don't you like the person? Because if there's a list, the beautiful thing about a list is I can pull it out and I can work on it and change it.
It's not
Right.
mysterious. It's not like, oh, there's something about them. No, I have a list on them. And if I was honest enough with you or me, and I was in the confines of my own conscience, I can list it out. Here's the list of things I don't like. Okay, so we have the term, buddy. We have the
Yeah.
actual list, um, or the definition of the term, a definition of lists. Now, let's frame the practice. So we know the definition, like how would it be used in a form of communication? Yeah.
Now, what I think you're pointing to, we had talked about offline, thought we'd do this recording on, is there's a specific part of the list or kind of list that's really, really important. So I used list of reasons
Mm.
I like you. Like is kind of nice, right? But if we think most of us know, we've heard from psychology books, friends, people say the most important thing in any relationship is that we have trust, right? We'll say trust. Okay. So what we were talking about is the list of reasons I trust or do not trust someone.
Beautiful. Okay, so that's the axiom almost. Like that's the thing that we're trying to. Why would one use this practice to reestablish trust, or because trust is not there?
Yeah, because if I don't like someone, that could be really a way to not articulate fully, because it might sound weak or something, to say, I don't trust this person. So I feel scared to be around them. So think about it. I have a list. I may have a one or two or a list of reasons I don't trust the person that
Right.
reminds me to not interact with them or be on my guard.
Now, would you go establish trust first and then share a list because it's so vulnerable, so exposing, so sometimes even humiliating a little bit? If I'm revealing something I don't want you to see necessarily, like I don't think of myself as judgmental, and if I clear this list, I will come across as like an arrogant prick. Or would you use the practice in order to establish trust? Like what would come first, or how would you see that?
Well, I think that we do a call back to the theme we talked about today is holding on to energy you were talking about. Yeah.
Right.
And so why is knowing there's a list, we have lists in our mind, and there may be a trust list, which is deeply important for any relationship. Why is that important? Because I might have some negative energy about a person
Right.
that, then how is that a problem?
It would diminish turn on. It will diminish connection. It will diminish like, hey, I want to be in a different room when you walk in here. So I like the context that we're setting. We're setting the context you're in a relationship with somebody already. So maybe don't go share a list with a stranger because they might punch you. Like there might be like some context, some safety, some like why would you use this practice? It because it is vulnerable. It is exposing of what's present within me and very likely literally the things that are separating me from you. So I want to go back real quick before we hopefully we'll come back to this exact place. I have heard from mentors in the past the definition of resentment is revisit, resent. And I have to figure out like the etymology of the word, if it's technical or not. But so you're in a relationship and I'm building resentment, or I'm in a relationship and I feel separated, or I feel there's less excitement, or there's annoyance, or there's irritability with regards to somebody. In that context, sharing the list or using this practice would become really helpful, would be useful, right? That would make
Right.
sense as far as like a context.
Yeah, that can give us like the broader purpose because we're kind of doing a jam session right now, right?
Right,
You started playing, I play some notes with that. Now the bigger purpose is, how do we improve our relationships? How can we,
right.
right? Well, I would have a goal as a coach. I'm always thinking, what's the goal? What's the intent or intention is I want to have deeper, better relationships.
Right.
And I'd also like to be more free with not so much baggage or really fear. Because fear is, there's an old saying, right? It's, well,
It's like
fear is
false
the ultimate enemy
evidence.
of
It's
fearing
like the,
real, right? And
yeah.
well, it's good to clear that one too. I think a great workable definition for fear is the anticipation of pain.
Mm,
So terror is, but fear is very subtle. Anytime I anticipate something could be painful, that's called fear. I'm anticipating the fear.
interesting.
Yeah.
An
So if I have a
anticipation, which is a
list,
future potential pain,
right,
real or imagined.
exactly.
Right.
So just anticipating this could be painful, So to have great relationships, deeper, trusting relationships, trust, and also me live more fully, just as a human being with less baggage. Uh, that's what kind of led us to, well, what could we do about that to improve our relationships
Right.
and be more free and not, as you were saying when before we started, not hold on to energy,
Right.
charges,
Because
right?
one context, and I don't know, we'll see how far we get into that conversation because I do want to come. I want to have you describe what the practice looks like, and then I want to demonstrate it, and I want to practice it, and then dissect it a little bit. But when I think of this conversation, I think of it's very interesting because before we jumped in on the call, what it made me think is like I had this conversation with myself going, why? Like, why have the conversation? Well, when I feel charge between people, I distance myself. Well, who cares if I have charge? So have charge. Well, having charge defeats one of my goals in life, which is I want to feel more connected to people. Oh, why do I want to feel more connected to people? Well, feeling more connected with people has me feel more at home in the world. Well, why would I want to feel more at home in the world? Well, it kind of takes me back all the way to like, okay, if I'm in this world to be as effective, to be connected, if I'm connected to people, I can look out for myself. I can contribute more. So all this like larger conversations of meaning, conversation of contribution, conversations about feeling safe and secure in the world, conversations of feeling deep intimacy with people. If I'm walking around holding lists, holding charge, holding withholds against people, I'm missing out on this insane, beautiful reservoir of intimacy, of connection that could happen between people. So I might see somebody in my social circle that I'm holding a list against, and they have no idea that I have a list against them. They have no idea that I'm withholding things that I did not share, like that list, and our relationship diminishes, our relationship dies, and the resources, like be it spiritual, be it emotional, be it literal, uh, I've robbed myself of it. And that person is like, I was wondering why you distance yourself, or I've always really liked you. Like so often I have that, like I'll get to know somebody anew and kind of go, ah, like you were always here. Like I could have had this relationship and I was just not open to it because
Mm,
I was robbed of that potential because I just kept running these withholds and it's like, oh, I can't
mm,
share it with them. I have these lists, but I don't want to share it with them. I don't want to
yeah,
reveal myself to them.
right. And you may notice just now, did you notice if somebody's watching this video, you were gesturing like this when you were talking just now. I have this, it's like it's right here looking at it. So, see, metaphorically, in the mind, there is actually like, and that
There's
becomes like
something there,
a
right?
physical block, actually, is to see the other person. I'm looking through the list of reasons
Mm,
I don't trust. So it literally,
comes the lens,
yeah,
right?
so the word list helps to get there is a practical, almost physical thing in my mind that is keeping me safe from another person because I don't trust them. And there are reasons to not trust some people.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like, and so it's not about not having any reasons to not trust people. It's not an all or nothing. It's maybe, in psychology, it's, is this accurate? Is it useful? Is it really real? Or sometimes is it really a misunderstanding?
right. So let's jump into what the thing is, because you and I know where we're heading. Many people, if anyone has listened to this, they kind of go like, okay, get to the point. What are you guys talking about?
Yeah.
It's great. This is the tumescence of this particular play. Okay, so let's set it up for us. So
Yeah.
what would that look like if you were actually doing it?
Yeah. So call back again. So what I'm often thinking in terms of is, as an engineer, there's a problem for something. How do I attach something? How do I save something? How do I work something? I used to do metal work and for engineering. So there's a problem, and I always think there's some system way to fix it, to change it, to get a even better output. In programming, there's a bug in the system And there's a key word that if you diagnose the bug, there's a straight, there's a certain tool. So we had this when we were talking offline of in life, we want to have better relationships. We want to have deeper connections. We've learned this thing of what could get in the way, this idea of a list. And then what's tools, specific tools we can walk away with today to try out, to actually, live more fully. So
Yeah.
take it from that.
So let's say you were going to share a list with me. What would the practice look like? Or either you sharing with me or me sharing with you, like what would the physical is something you write and leave for somebody? Like how if
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
yeah,
let's slow that down. Yeah, let's slow that down then again. There's always a process.
right.
There's steps, right? I've actually like a quick thing. I helped a gal over the phone I had met out, we were just friendly, and she learns what I do and she says, "Oh, help me stop smoking." Like, okay. So I just asked her, "So what are you doing when you're smoking?" Go slow that down. Well, when did the last time you had the smoke? Well, what did you do first, second, third? She just recounted very slowly the steps she took. And I said, "Oh, so when you're at a club or a bar, you're with friends, you're feeling bored, you want to go home, someone will offer you a smoke and you'll stay." And she
Mhm.
went, "Oh my gosh." And all she did was when she knew the process, she could change it. So she is funny. In 5 minutes, she gave up smoking. I ran into her 10 years later because we were acquaintances. I asked her, "How's the smoking?" And she says, "I don't smoke."
Hmm. Hmm.
So the point there is slowing it down so that when we see the steps of the mistrust and what we can do, when we can slow it down, we know we can make little tweaks, little changes. Yeah. So the
What are the
first step
steps?
is,
Yeah.
first step would be noticing as you call it, a charge, right? That's what's
Right.
important is I may have a charge with someone, call it negativity. Yeah. That when I think about this person or I'm around the person, I have this negative feeling.
So
So
get clear on the thing, like the
yeah,
resentment, the charge,
first,
the
yeah,
withhold, the list. Okay.
yeah. And first I don't feel how I want to feel. I don't feel open. I don't feel connected. I feel closed. And a simple way to do it would be, do I feel open or do I feel closed here?
Right. Is
So if
there
I'm feeling that,
contraction
yeah,
versus an
then what I can
expansion?
do is I may have something on my list of reasons I don't trust this person.
Right. That's
Yeah.
still that's still step one. Meaning
Yeah.
we're
Well,
acknowledging that there's something there that is causing for a trusting relationship to be fully realized, fully expressed. So
right. And
there,
that's a,
right.
yeah, great point. So the context here, situation would be, let's say I have a friend or somebody at work or somebody I want to have a relationship with. And I'm noticing there's some negativity. I'm
Hmm.
closing around the person. So step like in Europe, you start on zero or ground floor. So step zero is
So that's okay.
I, yeah, I want a relationship and I want to go up with this person, but I'm feeling some holdback,
Yeah.
withholding, and not feeling great. So then step one for how do I release this and connect again is be, do I have anything on my list? What's on my list of reasons? Not just that I don't like them. What are the reasons I don't trust them?
What are the specific reasons I
Yeah.
don't trust them?
And with the list idea, I'd actually write it down.
Beautiful.
Does so like the next step is actually
So
go,
this is
"Oh,
not even with
why?"
this other person. This is
Not even with
me
the other
and
person.
myself getting a list and going, great, I've acknowledged that there's contraction. I've acknowledged that there's an annoyance. What are all, and that's a good prompt. Like, what are the ways, what are all the reasons that I don't trust this person? Right? Or do you
That's a
have different prompts for this particular step
that's a
one?
that's a great point you're to bring home for if anybody watches this. Uh, this is a piece of taking responsibility because the only thing I can change is myself first. Be the change in the world you want to see, Gandhi. So you just nailed it to say, so what I'm doing is I have a feeling I don't enjoy. I'd like to feel different.
Right.
Then what's on my list of reasons I don't trust this person? Write down my reasons by myself because I got to
Right.
get clear on the reasons I don't trust them.
Right.
Because if I don't know, this is where sometimes people will just try something we maybe we tried before is I don't feel good. I go up to the person and I just go, blah, 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 I don't feel
And no
good.
specifics. Yeah.
Yeah, just I don't
You're
feel
releasing
good.
all the charge and it's resentment and it's blame and it's shame and it's guilt and you trigger them and there's no even possibility of it landing or it being effective.
It's yeah, and it's hilarious. Last night I took a vitamin or something with dinner and it didn't sit right and I had to barf. Okay. So it's a bodily
We'll edit
feeling.
this part. No,
Yeah.
no.
Well, it's perfectly valuable, right? Because my body's designed when I have a feeling like in my gut,
Yeah.
my heart, when the body doesn't feel at ease, what do I want to do? Get it out.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
and
So
I
we're like, don't do that. So
don't
in
do
order to
that.
prevent that, which destroys most relationships, like all of a sudden your partner is now your dad and your best friend and your ex-husband, your ex-boyfriend or wife. So don't do that. So that's why we're talking about this conversation. Like, how do we prevent that? So
Yeah.
step number one, get super clear what that list is.
Yeah.
And
And
what's step number two?
yeah. And what this brings us to too is there may be different contexts or situations where I may use a different tool also. As an engineer, I always want to use the right tool for, I don't use a hammer when I need a screwdriver. So, and one of the things that brought us to this was there's different tools for different situations.
Yeah.
So we might want to kind of
In what context
take
are
a
you
look
saying
at
that?
that.
Are you
Well,
give me another tool how to do step one? Or are you
yeah.
saying there's another tool for connection in
Yeah, so
bettering one's relation?
let's frame it
Define
this
it.
way. So, my purpose is to uh, release my negativity that blocks me from having a deep relationship and happiness with another person.
Yeah.
There's a specific way we could do that is notice the system we're saying about finding out why you don't trust. Okay.
Hmm.
And what we talked about is that it's really there's a three-part system that you can actually use with another person that,
Three part practice. In that practice is what we call like sharing lists,
yeah,
right?
sharing or
So there's three
clearing it.
steps to that clearing
Yeah.
lists. Okay, it's
Yeah.
better.
And that's what brought us here to do this is so there's different ways to do this. And a caution to folks too is what we're laying out now is when both parties involved know this system and both parties are committed to growing together.
That's very important
Yeah.
because
So
you're
that,
not using it as a whip. Both people are not necessarily trying to be right. Two people are actually genuinely, and it's important, genuinely wanting to have a deeper, connected, more effective relationship.
yeah. And
Okay.
that's where in my frame, I'm always asking purpose. It's
Yeah.
like in the back of my mind.
Let's go to one, two,
Yeah.
three, and then
Okay.
reverse and then go around it because I want.
Great. So let's look at the system that, you're used to, you've seen for a long time. Let's go through that, share that, and we'll look it over. That's the,
With the sharing lists.
yeah.
Yeah. So we talked about two different styles of it. One would be here's the ways that you have harmed me, or here are the ways that what I'm annoyed by, or here are the things that I've withheld from you. Um, two, so now that I have a list, I shared that list with you. What
One
was that?
item at a time, right? Maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I've determined like where I don't trust you, what happened. Yeah. And there's a format you're used to, which, right? The first one is you tell the person, number one, what happened? What was the situation? Yeah. This is what
What
happened that,
happened, what I need from you. And I think that was yours. I don't actually
yeah.
remember the steps. That's why I'm not just
Okay. So
stalling. I don't
the,
like,
the tab, the classic way is what you tell the person honest. Once I figure out what's going on, I might tell the person, here's what happened. Here's the situation, because you might not even know that I was upset or hurt. So you let the person know this thing happened on this day. There is a situation. You said this thing to me. And then the step two would be how it made me feel. So I would share
Oh,
how
interesting.
I
Okay.
felt about that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is yeah. And then you get that part out because the person, this is a frame where the person may just not have known. Like, when you said,
So what
I already,
happened,
yeah.
how it felt, and then what's the third, like what I need from
And
you?
then what I need from you in the future is, so that's one framework that
That's one framework.
we've seen before it's out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in that case, right, we get
And
to
that,
get
and we,
clarity.
when we talked about this earlier, we've labeled this a bit more feminine or a bit more emotional focused. So more
Maybe emotionally
like it
focused,
could
right?
be it's like right, left brain. It could also be there's various different ways of looking at it because it's this is what happened. This is how it made me feel. Like I felt betrayed, or I didn't feel loved, or I felt like you didn't care about me. So there's a adjectives. There's emphasis on the emotion, and then this is what I need from you in the future. Correct?
Yeah, yeah. So it's
So
kind
what
of
happened, how it felt, and what I need from you. Now
yeah,
again, the framework. I always go back to context, not in the way we use the word context, but I go into context as like that part. Okay, two people wanting growth, not wanting the disconnection, wanting to be more connected. So the other person who's listening knows that it's not necessarily about them. The other person knows that I'm not accusing them. They might have not even done anything wrong, but this has happened. They left the house too early. I felt you didn't care about me. Next time, I need you to look at me when you leave, especially when it's an important day for me. So the wife was like, I didn't feel loved on the day of my interview because the husband left really early to work. She can then go, what you did is you left home without saying goodbye. You left the home without kissing me. What it made me feel is that you didn't care that I have a really significant day. Next time, I would love for you to come, pause for a second, acknowledge me before you leave. And it's done. And the wife knows, well, the husband knows that he's not being accused, he's not being made wrong. That's how she felt. And it gets released. This is what
yeah,
happened. This is how I felt. This is what I need from you next time. Awesome. Hallelujah. That's one framing of the one, two, three of sharing a list.
yeah. And
I liked your version more than what we
okay.
just shared. So
Right.
that's
So
like that's
let's
the emotional.
yeah, so let's break down like what's great about that, what works, because I do like it, and where to use it. So that you've seen before is very much like what's called nonviolent communication. It's a
Mm,
great tool if
right.
you've heard of it.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful tool because we might say like let's put this in like levels here so we can think about it. So levels zero is I don't even deal with it. I don't like confrontation. It's just I don't want to do anything. It just
Right.
builds. My lists get bigger. I'm reminded of it. I'm trapped. Because part of the
Right.
purpose is I want to be free and I want to have deep relationship. So level zero is I do nothing at all and hope it goes away. Doesn't work. Then a level one above that, rising up, nonviolent communication gives me a way to communicate now instead of zero
Right.
in a framework that's non-accusatory and
Right.
lets me express
I'm not even
about
saying what you
myself.
did to me. I'm telling you how I felt about it.
Yeah. And the
Right.
basic framework is very similar. I share my observation, like what happened from what I saw. And that helps because the other person may not know they did it or didn't mean that. So
Right.
you're getting present and communicating. Maybe you didn't know. Oh, when you say it looks fine, honey, that hurts my feelings. So
Right.
it's observation. This is what I saw. You said, hey, don't worry about it, honey. How it made me feel is, I felt like it was an important issue to you, so I wasn't important. maybe it's accurate, maybe it's not, but I'm getting the feeling out.
Right.
And then the third one is not just what I need from you, but what do all of us need? Like what I really need is loving kindness because I'm a human being. So that
But
framework's
that's
a
less
little bit.
generic. That's more generic. It's not less
Yeah,
relevant. It's less specific.
that's nonviolent communication. And then the fourth step is make a powerful request.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So
Okay.
the framework that we seen the other night and we've heard out there, it takes the last two and kind of puts it together. And it's
Right.
a great kind of psychology
So
framework.
this is what happened. This is what I
Yeah.
feel. This is what I need from you. Or
In
here's my
life.
general need in life, and here's my request about it. So I
Yeah.
have a need to be acknowledged, like acknowledge that I've made the request. Please, next time, let me know that you heard me ask for it. So I feel like you're actually there with me.
Yeah.
Interesting. So that
Next.
empowers
Yeah.
somebody to walk away with an actual, like, what they need, like a to
Yeah,
do.
because that's what a great point. Because often the challenge is I'm holding on to resentment, distrust, and so forth. I'm not communicating it, so the other person doesn't know how they can make it right. So
Right.
the work where you pointed out early was my first step is I'm feeling something around them. Let me what's on my list. Get clear on the specific reason I'm not trusting them. I'm feeling hurt. And then I have a framework to express it so they know. And the request could be, in the future, if I say I'm having this problem, could you say, like, give me 5 minutes to just share in the future? Yeah. So
Right.
the framework we're used to, this other framework is very much psychology, nonviolent. It's wonderful. That's step one
Like we
of
need a name for it
zero.
because it is
Yeah.
feminine. It is feminine. So not female, it's feminine, as in it's more colorful, it's more emotional, it's less confrontational,
Hmm.
and it is steeped in adjectives. It's steeped in the colors of emotion. So we're gonna put that to one side,
Well,
I
and
think.
let's when we begin to put a pin on it on the wall, what I'd say by feminine is women are awesome at relationship. They're just like naturally not. There's debate on that, but relationships are very important. My lady's she's incredible, intuitive about what to do. So the feeling piece could be maybe a little more feminine because especially when two women maybe share, when they can share how they're feeling and what they need, they really can bond. And
Mm,
that's incredible in a relationship basis. So this is a
right.
great framework with a therapist. It's a psychology framework, nonviolent communication, and great in soft relationship. So level one. Now there's a higher one, maybe the level two from zero of not communicating, which we talked about. Maybe we could call more masculine. It's more
Yeah, I
about
would not put it
getting
above it.
things,
I'll put it next
yeah,
to it.
next to
So
it.
we're going to
Yeah.
be like feminine and masculine, like different modes of being. Because I want to put something on top of it just for the visuals in a
Okay.
minute. Okay, so let's talk about more of the masculine. And that's what you were sharing the other day that I went, huh, I like that version. Let's
Okay.
get some framework for
Yeah.
that.
So the reason I put it,
Or
it's
the
like
prompts.
I'm saying not that it's better, it's a level of difficulty. Zero is easy.
Mm,
It hurts me, but it's easy. Okay.
yeah,
But I don't have to do anything. The talking to the person, I have to write this down. I have to think out these three questions that I have and deliver it to the person. That's really high difficulty. What's even higher is the next one we're going to look at. Okay. Is really,
I-
and means both people are at a level they are committed and they know the framework to do it. So, and this could be like at work where it's more masculine, maybe is you could use this at work because we probably don't want to share our feelings at work or, and yeah,
I want to
yeah,
emphasize what we've emphasized before, which is it only works, or this is only really effective if both people are committed to the intimacy and the genuineness of two people. If you're going to use that information to make that person wrong, you're already lost. If you're going to use the information in order to hold it against somebody, you've already lost. Like the framework is how could two people feel more intimacy, more connected, and have the relationship be more right than like I just got a piece of information and I'm going to hold it against you. So let's
That's
jump into
great.
that.
Yeah, that's great. And that's where with us, it brought up a question again, why does this work or is it effective? The feeling part is a little challenging, I think, because when I get into my feelings, if we're both people are not at this level of practice where they both know the tool, they know and they can listen, it's really easy when I share my feelings for me to get into my feelings. And now I get feeling emotional, and that can very subtly turn from I want to empower us with honesty and not hold on to this to I want to get this off my chest and tell you how you made me feel, which could drift into victim. That's a
Rather than
challenge.
there being spaciousness and I'm revealing something so it could lose its charge and I can let it go and I can be more connected. Instead, I share something, you jump into it, and we're in the mud together, defeating the entire practice. The sharing isn't, so I will tell you why you shouldn't feel that way. The sharing isn't, so I can fix you, be like, no, you shouldn't have this feeling because look at this information. The sharing is so it can literally lose its charge and there can be more connection.
Yeah.
So it's like you want to have the reason I'm saying this is this is all in the context of two people committed to the reason for the practice and two people committed to knowing the practice. So there's a spaciousness. There's like, oh, you are willing to share this hurt. You're willing to share this thing that is getting between us in order for more intimacy to be there. Okay, so let's go to one, two, and three of the more masculine version of this.
Yeah. Or I'd say a really high level of responsibility is where this shifts. So
Okay.
in the nonviolent, unless I'm really practiced at it and the other person is at that level, what can happen is by sharing the feeling piece, I can get in, I have no responsibility at all here.
Who's the I?
Well, if
The
I'm
person
sharing
sharing
to the
it?
other person, yeah, this is
Yeah.
how, Cal, this is how this happened the other day. This is how it made me
I'm just
feel.
reporting back to you and making the request. I'm saying the what and
Right.
the how, the what it was, how it made me feel. This is a
Yeah.
need that I have. This is the request, but the responsibility is less
Yeah.
present.
And it's beautiful. We were talking about like landmark earlier too, neuro linguistic programming. So there's a keyword that can slip in when I say, this is what I saw. This is what happened. This is how you made me feel.
Versus this how I feel.
Yes. It's
Yeah.
really easy for us to
Right.
slip there
Yeah.
into the
Yeah.
other person has
And
the
I'm glad I
power.
slipped that particular way because it's not how you made me feel. This is how I feel. It's based on my perception, based on
Right.
what my story is, based on how I interpreted it, rather than being accusatory. That was like your nonviolent communication
Right. Yeah.
click of like, oh, when I'm sharing how I feel, it has nothing to do with you. This is just how
Yeah.
I feel. Right.
Yeah. So there's this
So
other style. They're equal, and it has to be in the right context. There's a different framework, a little different. That's subtly different, but it demands equal responsibility.
so go into
So
it because I don't
so
want to lose
step
people on the
yeah,
responsibility.
great. So step
Right.
one again is you step zero. I've noticed there's something coming up for me. Get to it's possibly a reason I don't trust this person. Write down, like, get clear. What is it I don't trust? So, what happened where I lost trust? I'm focusing on the word trust. Okay. And then what I do is, and the other person has to, they know the practice. And then I can say, where I don't trust you is dot, dot, dot.
Okay.
So there's a specific situation, there's a specific context or place in which I don't trust you. That's important because
Getting
it's
more
not that
confrontational.
and I, and it's not about not trusting people or a human.
You specifically in this particular situation.
Well, there's a behavior in a situation that I lost trust.
When you didn't respond to me, after texting you, it took a week for you to respond with an emoji, I lost trust. That particular behavior is how I lost trust in you,
That's
right?
great example. Yeah, great. And then the next one is, so I lost trust. And the lack of trust is I don't trust that you're going to be there. Not a feeling. There's a reason like I don't know if I can trust you because you're not responding. You're not available.
Right.
Could be, so this could be a coworker. Yeah, it could be somebody on a team. And then number two would be, this is the challenge part. My part in that is,
Right. Like seconds after I'm stating it, I take responsibility for how I could have prevented that or gotten in front of it.
yeah. Now I cannot drift into the victim mode and give up my own personal power myself, betray
So
myself.
I lost trust when you didn't respond to me. What my responsibility is why I didn't just call you within 24 hours being like, are you okay? Maybe something is not okay. Maybe you're not okay.
Look
Or
at that.
express it sooner. Okay.
Yeah. My part in it was I lost trust. I didn't tell you. That's a simple one. And
Mm,
I've been holding on to this to a month and
right.
avoiding you rather than just freaking telling you. You probably didn't even know. That's my
Talk
part
about
in it.
taking responsibility.
That's why I was
Okay.
saying it's, oh
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, level 2, 3, 10. Yeah.
Like even the first one, you can hear it. Even step one of this method is more confronting because now I'm now saying this when this specifically happened, I lost trust in you when this happened. My part in it is X. And what's three?
And three could often be phrased, and here's where the linguistics, it can often be this piece of what I need from you. But a challenge, it's a little sloppy though, because the word need is real victim language. Like I'll say, I need to breathe.
Like I'm
I
not
can,
right without it.
yes, I need to breathe
So I
within two
would,
minutes. I need
right.
water within 7 days. I need food within 30. What do I need that I can't live without? But we use the word to leverage people into, I'm going to die if you don't do this. So, more powerful from nonviolent communication is my request of you would be more powerful. And the request of you is
So
that,
this is how I lost trust. My responsibility in this is my request for you is
yeah. Now, how's that feel? Different.
it's clean. There's not a lot of emotions. I take responsibility for what I need. I need you to be more responsive or let me know that you're going to get back to me or let me know that you heard the communication. It allows the person doing this practice to be very specific, allows the other person to win because they now, there's a measurable thing that will allow for trust to be rebuilt. So both people could get to be more responsible.
Right. Because I could work on, that's great. I could work on trust. Trust is a value. Another person's feelings,
Right.
like maybe you had a bad taco. You don't feel good. And I love what you were saying earlier. Is I only said they're like levels of difficulty in me taking responsibility. I might need to grow, but it's not better.
Right.
They're both beautiful and they have different reasons they're be used.
But also like when you initially when I heard this particular version, I liked that you made a point women through evolution and just if you observe women interacting, there's a bonding that has an emotionality to it. Lists are, you made a comment which blew my mind, which was
Be cautious
women
here.
hold lists for safety. So there's an element of I need to know about the other people so I can warn my other sisters, other women about X, Y, and Z. There's
Yeah.
lists around safety. There's lists around it keeps the family safe. It keeps my family from not being influenced or friends of mine not to be influenced by people that might harm me. You even went as far as saying there might be a size, there might be like a strength versus more masculine, more strength, feminine, less strength
Well, yeah, and that's
component to it.
you know, this is a to not watch out for trigger warning.
I know.
This is a it's a real diversity point that I wanted to make was that, women have built this incredible skill. And I think one of the things they're great is knowing what they're feeling and sharing that and doing that together. Unfortunately, dealing with a man, you know, um, you may need have reasons. So we're not saying the list is good or bad. We're saying the list is there.
Yeah. But I'm
And
saying, like, should a woman try to practice this more masculinized version of it versus should a man try to practice the more feminized version of it? There's
I
utility to both, and they're literally two accomplishing the same thing for the same reason, the same framework,
I wouldn't even touch
different.
that, and I would cut that out. I wouldn't touch that with the 10-foot pole. You- More, what I might say is more of, and this still could be
It
taboo,
could be a
or
temperament.
rather than more men and women, which is kind of just shorthand, really more there's like we might say masculine
Yeah.
energy and
I mean,
feminine
that's what I
energy.
meant. Yeah.
And a simple way to think about that is masculine energy tends to be when we're in all humans, when we're in task mode. There's an objective we're getting done. That's what
Right.
we think of as masculine because men have been bred for thousands of years to live there. Go get
Yeah.
some food and go get some money, bring it home. And
And if
women
something is falling
have,
apart, you can go, okay, this is how I lost trust. This is what my responsibility was. This is what I need from you. And that conversation literally
yeah,
can last a minute. Versus the other
right.
conversation, you need more spaciousness for it. There's
Yeah,
more
it's a
space.
great point because it's in the task mode of a team, let's say in the military, this is incredible because it's vulnerable. It's, hey, I don't trust you. This is what I'm doing too. Let's work on this together
Right.
because holding on to that could get people killed, literally, in the
Right.
military.
But I also, I just, this is the thought that just popped in is like, if you have the time and you have the vocabulary and you have the emotional well-being, you might even do both. You start with
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
This is how I lost trust. This is what my responsibility was in it. This is my request. Awesome. Now let's unpack it. This is what happened. This is how it made me feel. This is what I need as a person. So get to know me as a person. This is my request of you. So they could
yeah.
live beautifully together as well.
They're different. Yeah, they're different tools, like a hammer and a screwdriver, totally different times. The way to know
The
is
hammer is
again,
definitely the more the masculine. The
right,
screwdriver.
it's a girdle. It's a yeah, it's
It's funny.
because of it depends on where we're at. Because, can I? And sometimes, there are real victims in the world, right? There are people who have been abused. I've had some growing up,
Yeah, same.
so again, we're noticing the list exists. So I might have a list and I can point to it and it's very clear. I do not trust this person. It's on this list. It ain't ever coming off. That's why the person's in jail or
Right,
something. Yeah.
right. Okay, so we're coming close to ending our conversation, but this time I want to pose a question, and we might not have time to complete the conversation. So everything we covered in this conversation is between me and my partner, me and an individual. But it's fair to say that if this happens, I get tripped up, I get whacked, I get hexed, I get confused, I get resentful, I get fearful, I get full of charge with regards to the world. It's fair to assume that I might be walking around with lists to dozens of people. Now, am I going to sit with dozens of people and have this conversation with? Not that's not always the case. I might have a list on an ex-girlfriend and like, no, her boyfriend doesn't want you to call. Might have a list on an ex-wife. No, the new husband doesn't don't want you to go hang out and clear your list. It could be someone who's dead. So there's a larger conversation about resentment or holding charge or having withholds, which is a term I really like. That like Let's explore that for literally a few minutes. Like, what would you do with that when it's not toward one individual?
I guess, it's part of it is maybe a psychology philosophy of, um, I think around the topic of forgiveness. There's um, most of psychology, we could say, most religious traditions even say that, yeah, I ought to forgive and not hold on to things. Like that's been around for thousands of years. There's in the Torah, in Hindu Vedas before that, there's stuff about forgiveness processes even that are ancient. So there's kind of an established understanding that holding on to resentment, the opposite of forgiving, is
The poison
toxic.
we drink
The
ourselves.
What a great one. There's an old way of thinking of it. Resentment is like drinking poison and hoping the other person dies.
Ah, right,
Or or
right,
unforgiveness is, keeping a forgiveness is letting a person out of prison and realizing that person was you. Because forgiveness, unforgiveness, resentment is only hurting me. And
right,
this is where I love it that your idea, the list coming in is, so what can I do? Rather than just holding us somatically in the body, a feeling,
right,
I can begin to go, well, if I could communicate, even with a deceased person, um, you know, what is it that I don't trust about them? Do I need to hold on to that still? And that could be deeper work, to be
right.
fair
So you're
about
saying like I
forgiveness.
can write a list about lots of people without even having them there. Like having the clarity about what is making me dizzy, what is disconnecting me from the world, what's having me whacked is getting clear about that. And we know 12-step programs do that all the time. Like that specifically. You might not encounter the person, but you're going to get very clear what the resentment is. Then it might get very clear what it is specifically that they're affecting me as. And that might be another conversation where there's like so many different places to go. And the reason why I said this question, I set this up this particular way is the practice that I've learned when living in San Francisco called withholds is a bit more of a, let me get back to the camera. Yeah, my calendar is telling me of my next meeting. Is introducing a practice that would be more generalized rather than individual, like sharing a list with somebody. It takes the practice into, okay, I have all this stuff happening, and literally, when people might, the way I use the word whacked, and it's not, yeah, maybe the mafia used it often, but uh, it's like, what does that actually mean? What it actually means is like, I'm walking around and I'm not actually there. Like there's seven movies, seven different genres loud in my brain. And like, and I walk by and all of a sudden I just tripped. All of a sudden I just dropped something. And all of a sudden I just ran into somebody. All of a sudden I missed an important call. Or all of a sudden, like banged my head. And you'd be like, well, you're not there. You're not actually present. You're not actually in the moment as the moment is unfolding with the internal and external being present on in the same frequency. It's more like there's the mom and there's the dad and there's the ex and there's money and there's just so much happening. And all of a sudden I'm just not right. To then go sit down and write a list might even be challenging. To then go into a meeting and anticipate or expect that I can be present, current, inspired, excited, allow for what's new to emerge is very not likely because I am seven different places and there's all this noise. So the practice of withholds introduces that of how can I get present and then deal responsibly with what's happening in my life. And maybe we'll have that conversation another time. But first of all, thank you for your time. I know I'm going to go back to this and like digest it. You even saw when you're like, well, what's the practice you've been doing? Like I've done some of this, but it helps me articulate it, and I now have the a masculine and feminine version, or quicker and more responsible, less responsible, more colorful. One is more cognitive and one is more emotional. One is more elaborate. I might want to sit with somebody and there might be tears and there might be holding space. And the other is like this is what happened. This is what my responsibility, my responsibility in this particular breakdown of our relationship. This is my request. Great, got it, clear. And we also know this is like another entire conversation. Like, how do you know that a communication was actually effective? The other person can actually repeat it, and like not kind of, not almost. Like, no, what specifically did that person say? And that's another conversation. But if you would bless me with more of these conversations, I would be grateful because I want to.
Yeah,
I know you have a
we didn't get to put that frame up of very humble that some stuff I've learned and it could all be incorrect, you know. So we
yeah.
didn't get
You
to
wanted to have
put
a
that there.
disclaimer. You're like,
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't want to, and also I think, I'm always thinking deeply the structure, right? So I love what you were saying about being present. So the the word list is great because it's an object we're all used to. It's a, a list of things I want to remember in a
yeah.
situation. And even when you're saying you were doing this with your hands, right? We're literally looking at our mind structures to be safe rather
Hmm.
than being in the present moment.
So when I
So,
do this masculine versus this feminine, what do you see as far as the brain?
well, I'd say
Does it,
actually more than like cognitive versus emotional as much.
right?
I'd say because there's one of the greatest myths in neuroscience is your brain is split in half and you have like,
I know
your
that's been
accountant over
debunked.
here. Yeah, that's junk. So,
Yeah.
but what we do have is if you think of it, there's three parts of the brain. To oversimplify, the mid emotional brain that my dog has
The
is
amygdala.
about it's a mammal brain. It's about connection. It's about safety, serotonin, fear, what we call feelings, right? Humans add to that with just thoughts and stories, lists for the feelings. So the nonviolent communication is great for addressing the emotional or limbic brain, the midbrain, because it's
Okay.
doing
So
all this, it's doing everything. What's harder, I think, is this other framework about responsibility is using your prefrontal cortex, the thing the other animals don't really have, where that's where God lives. That's where creativity and consciousness lives, is I'm engaging this part of the brain that sees everything and is present.
so you have
And
the
it,
limbic system, you have the cortex. What's the third one?
yeah. And at the spine, you have your reptilian brain, your very instinctual brain. So the way your spine, your body works is that's closest to movement. So if there's a loud noise, you run. It's
Right.
instantaneous, it's
Shock.
close. And then
Okay.
further up, if you're out of fear and instant movement, adrenaline, cortisol, those kind of things, you go up a little higher midbrain where you have your emotional self, more evolved. Most all mammals have the midbrain. That's your fear center, but also your connection bonding center. What
Right.
we might call love, but it's more the kind of love of companionship, being in a pack, belonging, which are important.
Purity, belonging.
Yeah, which are very important. And nonviolence, great for addressing that, which we need to address. The difficult one of responsibility goes to your prefrontal cortex, which is the one that says, let me write a song, uh, that loves a person enough to let
So
them go.
it almost takes the various parts and gives form to it or expression
Yeah.
to it. Beautiful.
Cool.
Have an amazing day.
All right. You
Have an
too.
awesome weekend. I love that we went past the hour. And we could have continued this for 3 hours. And look forward to our next conversation.
All right. Thanks, man.
All right. Talk to you soon.